7.58 miles, 8 minutes, 52 seconds from out, 139 beats per minute today, going for a nice and easy first run in the Saucony Endorphin Shift. This is a shoe that I've been waiting for very eagerly for a very long time. I'm very curious about this shoe. But before I get into my thoughts on the shoe, I do want to go over some disclosures. It's a pair of shoes that I purchased with my own money. No one sent it to me or is reimbursing me the purchase price. I was going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the Saucony Endorphin Shift. Now this is the third in a kind of mini series or a capsule collection, if you will, of shoes from Saucony this year. They're all part of the Endorphin series. The Endorphin Pro is more of the racer. The Endorphin Speed, a lot of people are using that as a racer as well. I'm using it as a racer, but a lot of people are also using it as like the fast training shoe, like the workout shoe that you wear. And then the Endorphin Shift is kind of the everyday trainer of the three. Saucony calls it the shoe for easygoing runs. It makes any run feel easier. It's your go anywhere, everyday fast shoe.
The Endorphin Shift is our go anywhere, everyday fast shoe.
Which that last one doesn't make quite so much sense to me. But in any event, what it is, it's supposed to be kind of that endorphin spirit in an everyday training version of that. Have they captured that? I think that they have for the most part. Now, what we have, there's a lot to kind of unpack in this shoe. First of all, it's an extremely tall shoe. It is one of the tallest shoes that I think I've ever run in. It's got 35 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot, which makes it taller than most even very plush shoes are in the rear. And that midsole foam is all PWRRRUN foam, which is a foam that I've been absolutely loving this year. A 4 millimeter heel drop. It still means that we're coming in at 38 millimeters of stack height in the heel, which is just a gigantic amount. And you do definitely feel a little bit taller when you're standing and running in this shoe. All that PWRRRUN foam does have a little bit of a weight penalty. It comes in at 10.1 ounces, which makes it a pretty heavy shoe. I mean, overall, it doesn't feel like a heavy shoe because there's just so much here and it's distributed relatively well, but there is quite a bit of weight on it. Up top, there's a lot of padding and cushioning, which kind of makes sense with its goal as being like a plush, everyday kind of shoe. There is a kind of a confusing amount of padding though in some areas, like right back here in the heel, it's like so puffy and bulbous. The tongue is a little bit padded, but I kind of like that amount of padding for this type of shoe. And then there's a moderate amount of padding around the heel cup, the parts that are going to touch the back of your heel. So overall, very comfortable shoe up top. A lot of padding, a lot of stuff going on, makes it for a little bit of a warmer shoe. Saucony's uppers tend to be a little bit on the warmer side, generally for me in my experience. And kind of that trend continues here. It's a beautifully designed upper. I think the design is absolutely fantastic. I just wish it breathed a little bit better. The other thing that's particularly unique about this shoe is all the armor that's around here. There's a gigantic TPU kind of heel cup, heel counter. It extends all the way from the midfoot, from the outer part of the foot, comes all the way around almost to the midfoot of the medial side of the foot, and it digs deep into the actual midsole foam cushion itself. And this is designed to give it a little bit more connection and stability from the heel cup all the way down into the midsole foam. On top of that, we've also got what Saucony calls its XT900 rubber, which is a higher density rubber and normally intended for higher abrasion and higher mileage wear. And I think what they're doing with it here is adding an extra element of stability and stiffness inside this midsole on the medial side. Overall, this whole entire package together is what Saucony is calling structured cushioning. It's not outright calling it a stability shoe, but there's so many stability shoe elements in the shoe. It has me a little bit concerned. A couple of weeks ago, I did make a video about whether Saucony shoes are bad for me. A lot of Saucony shoes love putting in a little hint of stability into the midsole. They think that it's usually right here where this piece of rubber is, where the foam density, they play around with it, and sometimes they put a little bit of extra density in the rubber. That makes it so it's a little bit more structured, so that way you're not rolling in so much as you're hitting the ground. Now, some people love that as a feature. I don't particularly love it, and I've been hypothesizing that it's been bothering my knees when I run it in Saucony shoes frequently. So I did take a couple of weeks off from Saucony shoes, and my knee seems to be better. It just might have been a matter of giving my knee a couple more weeks to recover. So coming back to it, now that my knee feels almost 100%, what was it like to run in this structured cushioning shoe? Overall, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the running experience in it. I didn't feel like that hint of stability was assertive. I didn't feel like it was hurting my knee. If anything, I felt really good during this run. In fact, I don't really think that I felt a ton of what was all this stuff going on back here. I felt like I was spending a lot of my time on the front of the shoe, and that might be a testament to what Saucony is calling its speed roll technology. And so what they're doing with the entire Endorphin line, they're going with mega thick stack heights, but they want to make sure that it doesn't feel like too clumsy of a shoe. So they're doing things in terms of shaping the shoe and molding the shoe in a certain way, so that way it's much more fluid. And I definitely felt that in this shoe. I just felt like I was gliding from like the midsole forward on the shoe, and that was really pleasant. I really enjoyed it. I've been really loving PWRRRUN midsole foam, and to have 34 millimeters of it in the forefoot just felt really absolutely fantastic. I was able to take it up to some faster paces. I've been doing some hill surges. I made a video about that a little while ago. And I took it on a hill surge today, one of the longer hills that are out there. And it was great for shorter bursts. Once I got to like the longer portions of it, then I started to feel like a lot of that cushioning that's up here, that plushness, was starting to interfere just a little bit, but it wasn't something that was a complete detriment to my enjoyment of the hill surge. So not a shoe that I would pick for a fartlek day, but for a longer day, even if you're picking up the pace just a little bit, I think the shoe can certainly handle it. Or if it's a shoe that you're going to have some strides at the end, or maybe some hill strides at the end of your run, definitely a shoe that's still going to be able to handle that as well. The only thing that I'd be cautious of if you're doing hill strides, say on grass, this is a very tall stack height shoe, and there aren't exactly lugs underneath it. So if conditions are slippery, you might want to be careful. But other than that, the shoe itself, in terms of its mechanics, can definitely handle short bursts of speed. On today's run, I was also able to take the shoe both on dirt roads and on pavement. And I definitely think that the shoe loves pavement. It does okay on the dirt roads. In fact, it's pretty good because it absorbs a lot of the rocks because there's just so much stack height here. But it definitely prefers being on pavement. That's where the speed roll technology really shines. I feel like I'm using the entire shoe. I'm getting a benefit of all that stack height. I'm using it kind of as intended, so like it's matching up really well. The one issue that I did have with this shoe, though, did end up with me having a little bit of pain by the end of this 7-mile run, was that the upper is really tight. For something that is supposed to be an easygoing shoe, a fun day shoe, structured comfort, all those other words that Saucony is using to describe it, I felt like it was just unnecessarily narrow in the forefoot. I'm not sure if other reviewers are picking up on that, or maybe it's just me, but I just definitely felt like I was way crammed into the shoe. It reminded me a lot, in fact, of the Zoom Fly Flyknit 2 and the Zoom Fly 3, both shoes which have really tall stack height, a really great midsole foam material in there, and also a really narrow forefoot. And that to me exacerbates a different condition that I don't think it's going to affect everybody, but it's something that comes up periodically with me and also with specific shoes. As every once in a while I'll get a pain underneath like kind of the pads of my forefoot. It feels like kind of like something sharp is poking the foot. A lot of people call it or think that it's like a Morton's neuroma or something like that. It only happens when I'm running in very narrow or tight fitting shoes and like either the intensity is high or the distances are long. The narrowness of this shoe I feel like was kind of scrunching my toes, kind of like foot in this direction, in such a way that within about 3 or 4 miles I started feeling, oh, it feels a little bit warm underneath my foot on the right hand side. And then by like mile 6, definitely by the end of the run, I felt like, oh, there's that sharpness again. So definitely a narrow forefoot. I didn't feel any of that in my left foot, and I hope that this upper loosens up a little bit over time. I'll definitely be putting more miles in it, probably not in like sequential days. I'll probably like sprinkle the shoe between other shoes that I'm testing from now on here and there, as I will start reintroducing some of those Saucony shoes back into my lineup. But we'll see if this upper loosens up a little bit. I really hope it does, because I do like the design of it overall, despite some of the weird puffiness and double pull tabs. But speed roll technology in here makes for a very spirited and fun run as well. And so I'm overall liking the shoe. I want to be able to run more in it, but there's just some issues that I think are probably going to, in the long term, get in my way of enjoying it. But there's only one way to find that out. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button to see updates on this shoe as it progresses. So those are my thoughts on the Endorphin Shift after just the first run. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'd love to keep the conversation going down there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?